so that we can, there we go, so we can record this at for the YouTube and the group so that you are able to share it. Real quick, I want to take care of some housekeeping. Let's see where'd that go. Share screen. Where'd that go? There we go. And I just want to make sure that we cover our bases, protect the company, and make sure that we are all on the same page when it comes to compliance and the legal disclaimers that need to take place. And then I'm going to turn it over to the one and only Dr. Ivy. And I screwed up with where I placed my icons and what was going live. So we're just going to go with this screen right here. So welcome to tonight's special product call about a little thing called fulvic acid, aka dirt. My name is Tina Huerman. I'm one of the team leaders here with HBN Naturals. I've got an amazing upline, amazing people that I get to work with, both with my own Salesforce team and people that are within the company that I get to work with as well. So tonight we get to hear from the one, the only, and now that we have multiple countries on this call, world-known Dr. Ivy. HB Naturals does plants, not pills. Our approved manufacturing partner facilities typically hold one or more of the following certifications. Quality ingredients begin with pure raw ingredients. Heart Body Naturals research and development team sources the most potent ingredients from all corners of the globe for their potential health benefits. Let's get to the FDA. These statements that are made in this meeting on the web or any site with HBN literature or presentations have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Heart Body's Naturals products are not intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any disease. The information on our website in literature and presentations is not intended as medical advice and is not intended to replace the relationship you have with your primary care provider. Hello. Any decision you make about your food or supplement choices should be made with the one-on-one help of a qualified healthcare physician. And now we are going to get to Dr. Ivy. I'm going to pin your video and introduce you. This is the amazing woman, Dr. Ivy. I just saw that we've got Australia on the call, so you are now world known. So you can add that to your bio. I know that doesn't make much of a difference to you because you're so humble and gracious and kind and beautiful and loving. But you can tell my passion for Fulvic because of the energy that I'm just like
I can.
puking all over everyone. But I want to hear from you. I want to hear from a doctor that has studied natural health. Can you give me a little background on your journey into natural health? Just short, because I know that you want to get to teaching.
Okay, absolutely. I guess you would call it, I've been in the holistic space for about 18 years now. I think that's what how long I've really been serious about it. And I'm a homeschooling mom to five, so I have kids, and I would have to tell you that my kids are really what pushed me to get serious. Because here's the thing, when I was young and married before we had kids, my husband and we would experience things and I would just chalk it up to, oh, I just don't know what it is. Hopefully it'll go away. And then we began to start growing our family. And when we had children and I would see them react to things, I would say, wait a second, it's not me. I can just push myself to the bottom of the totem pole. I need to find out what's going on here. And so that really taught me a lot, to where not only self-value, I didn't care enough about my own health to be super serious until I saw a little human being that would be at the end of my choices, whether my choices were good or whether they were bad. So I think that my children, for me, really catapulted the seriousness for it and the passion for it. I've been with herbs for as long as I can remember. So I'm also a doctor of clinical herbalism and naturopathic medicine. And it only makes sense that all of these things go together. Fulvic has been part of my life for the past 15 years. Okay. It is something that I really target really hard in between children when I want to get my body back to health again. in a way that I've not been able to do during nursing, during pregnancy, during postpartum, and stuff like that. So Fulvic has been part of my life for the past 15 years, really strongly to really get me back to where I belong so that I can begin another healthy journey and have another healthy baby, right?
Nice and centered. Yes. So how did fulvic acid enter the picture for you?
For me, folic acid entered the picture because I had a very toxic childhood. I came from a very young single mother who didn't have the best guidance, and whatever the doctor said, she just did it. In other words, I lived on antibiotics. If I had a stomach ache, they gave me antibiotics. If I had a headache, they gave me antibiotics. And so I deal with, as an adult, um, 18 years ago, my issues were a lot worse. But as an adult, I deal with things, IBS, IBD, a lot of gut problems because my childhood was so toxic and it was so wrecked with habitual uses of antibiotics. And, we should know that just using antibiotics once, that's all it takes. And so when you're a child grown up on that, you do suffer a lot of consequences in the long run when you become an adult. So that's how Fulvic got into my life. That, 15 years ago, I came across that product and I thought, looking into it now, I didn't even look into it as deeply as I'm aware of it now, right? 15 years down the road, being a naturopathic doctor, a clinical herbalist, what I knew then, doesn't even compare to what I know now. And even still, I'm grateful that I added it to my life. My cognition was clearer. My elimination, my regularity. We all know, that if you cannot have effective regularity, you're holding those toxins within your body. You are recirculating those toxins within your body. And so that's how I would say that Fulvic had come into my life. Seriously, 15 years ago, knowing that I wanted to be a healthy mother, I wanted to have healthy children, and I had a toxic childhood. I also had my mouth full of mercury fillings, so I did suffer from heavy metal toxicity. And that actually occurred during my second child, who's now 13. That heavy metal toxicity, my load reached its limit 13 years ago, and it said not doing this anymore. And I was diagnosed with heavy metal toxicity. They didn't even want to remove the mercury fillings out of my mouth. They didn't even want to touch any of that. So that was even an ordeal just to find someone to help me deal with that. So I had all the reasons why Fulvic needed to be part of my life. And so it has been for the past 15 years, and there's nothing like it. You can't substitute it for anything else. And what it does for you, nothing else can do for you.
Exactly. I put in the comments, I remember when my brothers and I have two brothers, and when we were growing up, I remember my mom getting mad at the doctor because he would not give us an antibiotic when we were sick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because that was the programming of the health industry at that point. The pharmaceutical push for let's get them on antibiotics, let's get that disease out of them, or whatever whatever was going on, the doctors were not knowledgeable enough to understand. So the floor is yours. Let's talk Fulvic.
Okay, so let me try to share my screen here. Oh, I think I need you to.
Let's see. How do I do that?
I think I'm a participant and not a co-host.
Oh, I thought I did that. There you go. Sorry about that.
Okay.
You're ready to go now.
Got it. Okay, and let me see if I can't. Hold on, let me move this down here for me. Okay. Okay, Okay, so just a couple of personal housekeeping things for you guys. Yes, my name is Dr. Ivy Prus. I am very, very happy to be with you guys this evening. And although I am a board certified naturopathic doctor, I am not your particular doctor. So none of this is to be construed as medical advice or anything like that. So any decisions that you make or anything you want to do moving forward, make sure that you clear it with your healthcare provider. And so that way we all have, an understanding and have everything the way it should be. So this evening, I am very, very excited to discuss fulvic acid with you. It really does go by the name fulvic humic acid because they come together, but we're going to focus on fulvic acid is what makes this combination so powerful and so vibrant and so much like nothing else. Okay, so before we even move on, I want to begin with because I'm a called teacher, and so I homeschool my kids here at home. I don't homeschool my clients. I teach my clients that I work with how it is that we're getting them better. I teach their biochemistry and things of that nature. So my goal for this evening is just to lay a foundation for all of us here, because I don't want to be one of those people that just starts spitting out, fulvic is great for this, fulvic is great for that, and then you don't understand why. So my goal is to lay a foundation so that we have a solid foundation to build on, and each slide is just going to build more and more and more for you. But I think that something very important that we need to discuss is we should be on the same page on what disease means, okay? So if you go to the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, this is how they define disease: a condition of the living animal or plant body or one of its parts that impairs normal functioning and is typically manifested by distinguishing signs and symptoms, i.e., sickness, malady, whatever is going on when you're not well. If you go to Britannica, they define disease as the following. They say, any harmful deviation from the normal structural or functional state of an organism, generally associated with certain signs and symptoms differing in nature from physical injury. Now, I love that one even more because we are identifying that disease is not when you get a broken rib, right? I think we could all agree with that. Disease isn't when you break a leg, and it's not when you have shoulder surgery. That's not disease, okay? Disease is a harmful deviation from normal behavior, okay? In other words, you can say it's an inability to maintain systemic biochemical homeostasis. Remember that word homeostasis, okay? And remember the fact that it means keeping everything in balance. So now we get to the best part, okay? I'm going to lay a few ground foundations for you guys, and then we're going to keep on going and building on top of that. What exactly is fulvic and humic acid? Well, fulvic and humic acids, these are the chemical compounds that are formed when microorganisms in the soil, they break down plant and animal matter over periods of time. Think of this in your mind, very similar to composting. Any of my friends out here that are homesteading it, have your backyard gardens, your backyard chickens, if you guys are including compost as part of that process for yourself, this is exactly what it is. This is basically breaking down, okay? Now, in this process, all of the nutrients are being recycled back into the food chain. How? Via mineralization. That simply means the enzymes are breaking down very large nutrient particles into the smallest possible components. What are the smallest possible components? Mineral ions. So you can find fulvic humic acid in healthy soil, you find it in clay, you can find it in mountain rock, you find it in mud and in different bodies of water. So I love the fact that we're not tied to only finding it in one place or one source, because then I would say that would be pretty detrimental, But no, we can find it in many places. So humic and fulvic acid, this is going to be something that's going to contain more than 70 minerals, trace minerals, amino acids, peptides, you got nucleic acids, phytochemical compounds, you have vitamins, electrolytes, silica, prebiotics, and probiotics. Now, oftentimes this can be yellow, amber, dark brown, or black in color, okay? Again, I'm sure something like that is going to depend on where it's sourced from. That's going to be a very big factor in that. So fulvic acid, it's the fraction of humus that actually contains the smallest size particles. Now, just for discussion's sake, we'll go ahead and point out that humic acid, again, this is all blended together, those particles are slightly larger, okay? But we're focusing on why fulvic makes this such a powerful combination here. Now, these fulvic particles, these are made from elemental ions. This is basically just the building blocks of life: oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, and hydrogen, okay? Fulvic is soluble at any pH. It does not matter. It is one of the highest in oxygen and trace mineral content you can find out there. As far as something that you can utilize for yourself, highest oxygen, highest trace mineral content, this is it, okay? Now, this offers ionic trace minerals that are electrically charged, yet small enough to pass through the cell wall for you. This is important. I want you to remember that. Let me see here. I don't know why this isn't. Okay, here we go. If you guys scour PubMed, this is what you're going to find. Okay, remember I told you I don't want to just start spitting things out to you on why it's good for this and why it's good for that. Yeah. I want to show you and give you a solid foundation. If you scour PubMed, this is what you're going to find. You're going to find that fulvic has anti-inflammatory effects. How does it do that? It reduces the release of pro-inflammatory cytokine from your cells. Why is this important? So what? So it can reduce those. Well, it's important because there's a lot of diseases that are tied to inflammation. Diseases that you see like cardiovascular disease, colitis, diabetes, the list goes on. All of these things are associated with chronic inflammation. That's not to say that inflammation is what's causing these diseases. It's simply telling you that there's a common underlying factor in these diseases, okay? Fulvic acid is shown to reduce hyperglycemia in diabetic rats simply by increasing SOD. For all of my geeks out here, because I have a slide for my geeks and I have a slide for my friends that just say, Ivy, just give it to me. Just tell me what it does. For my geeks out there, when you see SOD, think of superoxide dismutase. This is activity that happens in the pancreatic beta cells. Type 2 diabetes people have chronic inflammation and very elevated pro-inflammatory cytokines, okay? So by logical conclusion, you would say, oh, this makes sense then. If my issue is tied to an underlying problem of chronic inflammation, something like this is going to be very positive for you. Now, do you have any idea what they give for people that have asthma, allergies, eczema, any kind of disorder that's associated with any type of overactive immune cells? They give them anti-inflammatory drugs to reduce the symptoms. So logic tells you fulvic equals anti-inflammatory and anti-allergy effects. That's great. Now, don't get crazy about the next one. We're going to talk about pro-inflammatory. Well, how on earth can fulvic be pro-inflammatory? Why? Your immune system protects you against pathogens and other harmful things by initiating your innate inflammatory response. I need to plug in here that you guys should know having that inflammatory response, yes, that's built into our bodies. And do you realize that when I deal with so many stealth infections, co-infections, things that are hidden, right, that have done something to your body to turn off your inflammatory response? Now, inflammation is actually good for you. That's your body saying, hey, listen, I got to pay attention. I need to go do cleanup in aisle 8, right? Inflammation serves a purpose. The problem with inflammation, when it becomes chronic, it's never turned off. That's where the problem begins. So Fulvic, on the other side of the coin, it does increase pro-inflammatory factors. So you look at nitric oxide. This is one of the reactive oxygen species. Well, this is important for killing bacteria, and it's also important for intracellular signaling increasing. That means your cells are communicating much more and much more effectively. Okay, now ROS, that's like a big buzzword, reactive oxygen species. These are generated, during the mitochondrial behavior and metabolism, okay, as well as a cellular response to things that are bad for you, xenobiotics, increasing in cytokines, or a bacterial invasion. So you need to remember that oxidative stress is when there's an imbalance of too much ROS, which are oxidants, and not enough antioxidants to combat that. Here comes Fulvic again. It has antioxidant capabilities. Fulvic has been shown clearly to isolate superoxide radicals and other ROS outside the cell. Now, myocardial damage was induced in rats. Fulvic acid reduced the oxidative stress. What does that equal? Antioxidant behavior. It increases your antioxidant enzymes like SOD, that attaches to copper and zinc to break down toxic charged oxygen radicals. It increases CAT, which makes enzymes called catalase for you. They also break down hydrogen peroxide. And GPX, that's glutathione peroxidase family. These detoxify hydrogen peroxides. It's one of the most important antioxidant enzymes we have, glutathione. And on the same token, fulvic acid is pro-oxidant. Well, IV pro-oxidant is very negative. Yes and no. Pro-oxidant meaning it increases oxidative stress markers like hydrogen peroxide, nitric oxide to induce apoptosis. We know what apoptosis is, guys? That's death. Okay? Does anybody remember that cancer is a problem where cells are not dying and they're out of control and they're actually growing too much? There are cells that are not behaving properly. Their kill switch has been, in essence, turned off. When a cell knows it's at the end of its life or it's no longer functioning properly, it's supposed to turn on its kill switch and die. Well, diseases like cancer, that death switch, that one doesn't get turned on. Cells don't die. So, whoops, here's Fulvic turning on oxidative stress markers like hydrogen peroxide, nitric oxide, inducing cell death in those cells that need to die. And where did they see this? They saw this behavior in hepatic cancer cell lines. So now for my friends who just say, Ivy, just tell me what it does. I don't need the science. I don't need the complicated stuff. Just make it simple for me. Here you go, guys. Fulvic acid. And based on what we've learned so far, based on what we see on how it behaves biochemically, okay, these are the results of it. It plays an extensive role in transporting nutrients in and out of the cells. We already saw that because it increases cell communication. This assists with cell permeability. You guys should know that your cell wall should be a particular way. It can't be too rigid where nothing can go in or come out. And it can't be so lacking in structure that it can't even support itself, okay? So it facilitates biological trash removal. Basically, Fulvic is digesting inorganic compounds and balancing cellular electrolytes for you. Now, one molecule of Fulvic is capable of holding 60 other ionic particles and trace minerals. What does this mean for you? It means significantly improved absorption of trace minerals and other nutrients. Guys, I'm sure you keep hearing people say, you are what you eat, you are what you eat. Actually, no, you are what you can digest and break down and actually effectively transfer in and out of your cells. That's what you are, okay? You're not just, you are what you eat. No, you are what you can get effectively in and out of your cells. So this helps restore and maintain the body's optimal pH. Now, usually when people hear that, they say, okay, well, then my whole body is going to be one cumulative pH. No, that's not how it works. Your stomach needs to be acidic. Parts of your intestines need to be acidic as well. And then other parts need to be more basic. So fulvic is not going to be something that makes your entire body cumulatively one pH. No, that means it's going to keep those areas in your body the pH that they should be. Okay. I know I explain that a lot because a lot of people have that misunderstanding, but that's what that means when we get to that. So fulvic is going to assist you in detoxification because it's going to be binding to toxins and metals that enter the body via food, water, air, and medications. How many of you guys are sick after driving through the gas station to fill your tank up? How many of you get sick going through the laundry aisle in the grocery store? And for goodness sake, how many of you get headaches when you're in the mall and you walk by Bath and Body Works, okay? Those are things that you're inhaling that through the air. And fulvic assists with all of that, not only what you eat, not what's coming in by food, but also by water, also by air, and also by medication that we all know, right? Medication is never something without an effect. And usually that effect is almost always negative. Now, fulvic is going to help your gut. It's going to help your gut in one of the most amazing ways. It's going to actually make it a happy place for you to have probiotic bacteria and make them so happy that they can grow, proliferate, and enlarge themselves, okay? So that means you have a healthier microbiome, you have more of a commensal community with bacteria and everything else that should be there. That means for you, you're going to be digesting and processing nutrients more effectively, okay? By the way, it's your gut microbiome that does that for you, okay? It's not your stomach who breaks them down for you. Once they get down to your intestines, they're the ones who do all this processing, who go ahead and manufacture the hormones, who send things where they need to go. Okay, this is amazing. This is a very big win because we know that a strong digestive system is needed. Why? You have to build immunity. How are you going to do that? You have to have a healthy digestive system. You're going to have healthy hormone production and so much more. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. Now, it is so rich in a wide array of minerals that it's one of the most powerful electrolytes, okay? What's the big deal about electrolytes? You need electrolytes for maintenance of wellness. There's no better phrase than that. There's no better all-encompassing phrase than that. Electrolytes are needed for maintenance of wellness, okay? This is because it restores each individual cell to its ideal chemical balance. Remember that word again, balance, hint, 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 homeostasis, okay? Hopefully, I hope we're able to be putting two and two together now. And if I'm going a little too fast, you just let me know. But this is how that works. Electrolytes are necessary for maintenance of wellness. At the root of all of it, minerals and trace minerals are one of the most valuable because it doesn't matter how many vitamins you consume. If you don't have minerals that are the catalysts to combust those functions and those processes that go on, you have nothing. Minerals are the mortar that hold the bricks together. You guys have to remember that. I come across so many people, they tell me about their vitamins, they tell me about all this stuff, and they don't have their minerals in balance. And so therefore, even all the things they're trying to do with their vitamins, it's to no avail. They have no mineral behavior going on properly. They have none of those things that minerals are responsible for. Okay, so just so you guys know that a fulvic is effective at reducing markers of oxidative and inflammation. We saw that in the last slide. Well, guess what else? They give people to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation. They give people non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Whoops, there's something else that Fulvic does, right? Um, as a major source of key vital electrolytes and antioxidants, this is shown to improve muscle function, digestive abilities, heart and brain health. Okay, this assists cells in absorbing the amount of minerals they need and then discarding any waste via ion transport. So, I mean, this is something that has drastically changed my life, as far as my cognition not being so foggy. Remember, I had mercury toxicity. I was heavy metal toxic. I had 8 mercury fillings in my mouth, and they were all leaking mercury. And for 20 some years, okay, because I'm 40 and I had those fillings put in my mouth starting at the age of 10, for all of these years, I had been on this constant drip of heavy metals, constant drip of heavy metals. And 13 years ago, my body said, enough is enough. I can't do this. Okay. So this is why this for me has been such a big thing. Number one, why my life and my gut as a child was ruined. Okay. Then I had my whole mouth full of mercury, and that was ruined. And so it seemed to me, when I think about it now, being an adult, it seemed to me that my life was kind of attacked and ruined at both ends of the spectrum. Okay. In my gut, and then from the very top of my digestive system, which we know that we start digesting from the moment you begin to chew. And the moment I begin to chew or drink my tea or drink my beverages or even brush my teeth, I was releasing mercury vapors. I was releasing them, also inhaling them. And so this for me was vital because of how toxic my childhood was and what was ruined as a result of that. So what parts of me needed the most help? Well, my gut did. My gut needed the most help. My digestive system needed the most help. And this is something that really assisted me to get to a better quality of life, if that makes sense to anybody. Tina, I don't know if you're getting any questions or if they're like, get this woman out of here. She's,
No,
telling me.
actually, I just responded to a message from my friend Megan, who said she needs to be talking for an hour, not 30 minutes. And I'm like, I know. How are we on time? What is it, 7:33? I know Marcus has his own call going right now. We've got a couple medical questions that are coming in, but we cannot address those at all as a company. Because we are not doctors, and that is up to you to do your research and reach out to, let me do, how do I stop screen share? Let's see. Oh, if you want to go ahead and do, yep, that's okay. Go ahead and do the stop screen share. Oh, Marcus is still on here, so he's running his call late.
Oh boy.
Let's get back to the gallery view. Dr. Ivy, we have 105 people on this call, which sets a record for the company and also tells you how important this is for everything. 108. Okay, we had 108 at one point. Oh, we got one more coming in. Sorry, Lee, you missed a lot of it. But with our product launch tomorrow, we don't know the time yet. I don't know if Landy or Marcus has any insight on a definite time on that. There's a lot of questions on usage, but with the launch this weekend, we were talking in a different chat, and next week, because there are a lot of new customers on here that are going to want to share, as well as a lot of people that already share, we want a repeat of this call next Thursday night. And Dr. Ivy, you and I can talk about that later if you're available or not, just so that we have that foundation of building and educating and sharing our passion. And for those of you that were not on the call, like, I was seriously crying before we came on because I'm so passionate about this. I'm so excited for this. Let's see. Great information is what we're getting. Love it. That was amazing. We did ask for 4:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will see for the launch time release. We don't know if it's actually going to be 4:22 on 4:22, which is also Earth Day. And you couldn't get more perfect than that for a launch of Fulvic. So I don't really see any more questions, Dr. Ivy. Seriously, that was amazing.
I hope you know that it all makes sense. I try to kind of make a line with the information so that it can lead you from beginning to end, and that's always my goal, you know. I love teaching, and so I just hope that I can convey that in such a way where people, you know, are saying, "Oh, I can connect these dots. This is totally, you know, making sense to me." I think that there's not been any worse experience in my life than when I walk away and I'm like, I don't get it still, you know? And
Right.
so that's always been a big goal of mine. Um, and I do get, you know, nervous with these things all the time. So thank you for your grace and your mercy. And I just hope that it was as valuable for everyone else as it was for me to put this together and help teach you this information and just kind of bring you through where it comes from, what it actually is, and how phenomenal it behaves in the body. Because it doesn't matter, everyone's biochemical makeup is so different. And fulvic, they've seen in soil that when you introduce fulvic to a different location, it will adjust to where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so folk is so phenomenal, right? And it's just so rich, and you can take it from a location and you can expose it to another location and it will adjust to where it is. And I think that's why people do so good. The fact that we're so biochemically diverse and different, this is something that, you know, is just so beneficial. It's just so great.
And can you talk a little bit and we're just going to go over. Can you talk a little bit about the human body is the periodic table?
Right. Okay, so um yes, the human body being like a periodic table, and if I'm picturing it in my mind, and I remember in college in chemistry or biochemistry, you know, my teacher said, "Now, guys, I want you to put, you know, +3, +2, +1, and then -3, -2, -1. These guys want to share the love. They've got extra electrons to give. And then these guys, they're depressed. They need a buddy to give them extra electrons, right? And so fulvic being so ionic in nature, it attracts heavy metals, it attracts these components in the body that are not technically beneficial, obviously, right? Nobody can get benefits from lead, cadmium, mercury, and arsenic. Okay, so fulvic in nature, it is just ionic in nature and it attracts those things to itself. The beauty is that it makes it water soluble. uh, Toxic things usually come with fatty molecules. We know that fat is not water soluble. And that's where the liver comes in. Liver and fulvic assists the whole process of tagging these molecules with water. You tag these components with water molecules, and that's how the body eliminates them. And so fulvic in general, being so ionic in nature, it attracts these things to it and it makes it more water soluble. Why? Because fulvic is dissolvable in any pH. If that makes sense, I hope that I'm helping you guys like connect the dots here, right? And I don't want to get it too crazy and get it too complicated, but it's very ionic nature. It's like opposites, right? Opposites attract. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's just this magnet. And this cage of a molecule can just attract so many times its weight. One particle can attract 60, right? And so it's quite the amazing little guy, you know. I love it.
Well, I just appreciate you and I appreciate everyone on the call. I appreciate the excitement. I have a mission that is very personal to me that I can't share publicly, but this product completes my mission. This is how I get to change lives and fulfill a promise that I made to my mama. So, Dr. Ivy, thank you so much for your time, your knowledge, the way that you broke that down into human vocabulary. You know, you were talking to us as
Hopefully.
you did a great job on that. You talked to us as if we were your patient and you were walking us through why you need this, and not from just from a complete heartfelt way. And so thank you so much, Landy, Michelle, Megan, the other leaders on our team. Thank you so much, Coach Marcus. Sorry we ran into your call tonight, but super excited about this. And with that, I am going to stop the recording, and